Michel de Montaigne, 1533 to 1592, was a French philosopher and essayist who is widely regarded as one of the most significant figures in the development of modern philosophy. He is best known for his work Essais, a collection of personal reflections that touch on a wide array of subjects, from the nature of humanity to education, religion, and the human condition. Montaigne's unique approach to philosophy, which combined introspection, skepticism, and a deep curiosity about human nature, marks him as a precursor to the modern emphasis on the subjective experience. Born into a wealthy family, Montaigne's early life was marked by education and privilege. He was educated at the University of Toulouse and later served as a public official, holding the position of magistrate and mayor of Bordeaux. Despite his public duties, Montaigne was deeply introspective and spent much of his time in his private study contemplating the human experience. His philosophical writings were informed by his own personal experiences and the turbulent political climate of his time. Marked by the wars of religion in France, Montaigne's most famous work, Essais, was first published in 1580, and it continued to evolve throughout his lifetime. The work is an eclectic and wide-ranging collection of thoughts, reflections, and observations on various topics, including ethics, education, politics, and the nature of knowledge. Montaigne's approach to writing was groundbreaking because he did not set out to present a systematic philosophy, but rather to explore his own thoughts and feelings on a variety of subjects. His work was deeply personal and marked by a style that was conversational and informal, as he sought to engage with his readers on an intimate level. One of Montaigne's key philosophical contributions was his development of the essay as a literary form. While earlier philosophers had written in treatises or dialogues, Montaigne's essay was a collection of loosely connected reflections that often took the form of personal anecdotes or observations. This style allowed Montaigne to explore complex philosophical issues in a more accessible and relatable way, and it marked a departure from the rigid, formal approaches of his contemporaries. Central to Montaigne's philosophy is his skepticism. He was deeply influenced by the ancient Greek philosopher Pyrrhon, whose skeptical philosophy emphasized the limits of human knowledge and the importance of withholding judgment. Montaigne applied this skepticism to a wide range of subjects, from religious beliefs to the nature of human reason. He believed that human beings were inherently limited in their capacity for knowledge and understanding, and that it was wise to acknowledge these limitations rather than arrogantly asserting certainty. Montaigne's skepticism extended to the idea of universal truths. He questioned the assumption that there were objective, unchanging truths that could be discovered through reason or revelation. Instead, well-rounded individual, capable of independent thought and self-reflection. He believed that education should be tailored to the individual and should encourage the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake, rather than as a means to an end. Montaigne's philosophical ideas were also shaped by his views on religion. He was deeply influenced by the religious turmoil of his time, particularly the religious wars that ravaged France during the 16th century. While Montaigne was raised as a Catholic, he was skeptical of religious dogma and organized institutions. He was critical of the intolerance and violence that often accompanied religious conflict, and he advocated for religious tolerance and the acceptance of differing beliefs. In his essay on Cannibals, Montaigne explores the idea that cultures and beliefs that are unfamiliar to us should not be judged harshly, but rather understood in their own context. He famously wrote, "Each man calls barbarism whatever is not his own practice," highlighting the relativity of cultural norms. Montaigne's skepticism and emphasis on subjectivity were also reflected in his attitude toward reason and the pursuit of knowledge. While he valued reason and intellect, he did not believe that human reason was infallible. He was deeply critical of the intellectual arrogance that often accompanied the belief in the power of reason to uncover universal truths. Instead, he argued that reason should be seen as a tool for navigating the complexities of human life, but not as an absolute guide to truth. Montaigne's skepticism about reason and knowledge is perhaps most evident in his reflections on the limitations of philosophy itself. In his essay, On the Art of Study, Montaigne writes that philosophy should not be viewed as a set of rigid principles or doctrines, but as a practice of self-examination and reflection. He believed that philosophy's primary goal was to help individuals live better lives, rather than to provide definitive answers to the great questions of existence. One of Montaigne's most enduring philosophical legacies is his emphasis on the importance of self-reflection and personal experience. His writing is filled with autobiographical anecdotes and reflections on his own life, and he often used his personal experiences as a way of exploring broader philosophical themes. This emphasis on the subjective experience of the individual was a key departure from earlier philosophical traditions that focused more on abstract principles and universal truths. Montaigne's philosophy was grounded in the belief that each individual's experience of the world was unique, and that it was only through introspection and self-examination that one could begin to understand the complexities of the human condition. Montaigne's influence on later philosophers was profound. His work had a significant impact on the development of modern skepticism, particularly in the work of René Descartes, who would go on to develop his own system of